This year, the United States entered a pact with Iran that we would ease up on economic sanctions, and in return, Iran still gets to keep enriching its nuclear material. Charles Krauthammer called that a sucker's deal. In fact, the deal was so bad that 26 Republican and Democrat senators want to pass legislation to toughen the sanctions if Iran doesn't cooperate. When Chuck Schumer and Ted Cruz agree on something, it must be important. And they're not the only strange bedfellows. Earlier, I asked Israel's Deputy Defense Minister, Danon, just how the nations in the Middle East are reacting to this Iranian deal. Danny, I think a lot of us were shocked when the United States entered into this agreement with the other nations and said, we're going to loosen up the sanctions. How was that received in Israel when that news came out?
We were very disappointed, upset, but not only the Israelis. Look at the allies of the U.S. in the region. Look at the Saudis, Jordanian, Egyptian, Gulf states. All the friends of the U.S. are disappointed, and the enemies of the U.S. are celebrating.
Is it more than disappointment? Are they angry? Do they feel betrayed?
Well, personally speaking, I believe that we should trust only ourselves when it comes to the security of the people of Israel. But yes, we feel that the U.S. made a mistake signing this agreement, created a new era. Now there is no black and white, evil or good. You have a gray area. In Iran today, they are celebrating. The economy is booming. Investors from Europe are going back to Iran today, and with the money they will make, they will continue to sponsor terrorism all over the world. We are not happy with this agreement. It is not good for the Israelis. It is not good for the Middle East, but it is also not good for the American people. Because Iran, they write on the missiles, we will attack Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa, but after that we will attack Washington, D.C. and New York City.
You mentioned that this is as unpopular in some of the other Gulf states. The Saudis don't like this. The Egyptians don't like this. So this is one of those rare times when the Israelis actually, at this point, have more in common policy-wise with the Saudis and the Egyptians than they do with the United States, which has been their long-standing ally. This must be an awkward, uncomfortable position.
It is. You know, in the Middle East, everything can happen. And today, there is new reality in the Middle East that we all understand that compared to all the other issues, the Palestinians, the issues in Egypt, in Syria, the threat from Iran is a real threat. Because history has taught us when you have a crazy leader threatening to become dominant, you better believe him. And what will happen in 2014, Iran will get to a jumping point where they will be able to build the bomb almost immediately. We will not allow it. I want to remind you, Israel did not sign the agreement in Geneva. We have no obligation to this agreement, and we keep all the options on the table, including the military option.
You're Deputy Defense Minister, and you've just said you've got to keep the military option on the table. So I assume that there's a very real possibility that if the acceleration of nuclear programs in Iran were to continue, it would not be a surprise, shouldn't be a surprise, if Israel intervenes and takes out their nuclear capacity, or at least tries to disable it.
We will not allow Iran to become military capable. And we've proven it in the past with Iraq. For the U.S., if Iran becomes nuclear, it is a mistake, but it's not a fatal one. For Israel, it can be a fatal mistake. That's why we are very determined about this issue. And we raise it when we speak with our colleagues in Washington, and we tell them it is not another issue. For us, it is a crucial issue. And because if Iran will become nuclear, there will be a race in the Middle East. Egypt will follow. Many other countries will not allow themselves to stay without nuclear capability. It will be a new era and a bad one.
Some, like John Kerry, maybe the president, some in Europe, some of the capitals would say, you're too worried about Iran. They're not going to actually weaponize their nuclear material. They're not going to threaten you. What is the reason that you would say, oh, yes, they will? They have a long history. Why should Americans be concerned that Iran will take this to the next level?
Governor, you need to look logically. Look what Iran did in the past. They sponsored terrorism all over the world. The Marines, the 299 Marines that were killed in Beirut in the early 80s, the terror attack came from Tehran. The Jewish community in Buenos Aires, Argentina, was attacked. It came from Tehran, from Iran. We don't forget what happened in the embassy in Iran, the American embassy. they will continue to sponsor terrorism. But if they will have the military capability or nuclear capability, it can be in a suitcase that will fly from Iran to Venezuela to Miami. You don't know where it will end. Maybe today it's not in your backyard. So the Americans say, you know what, we do not care about the Middle East, about Israel, but it is in your backyard. It will be here in 5-10 years. What happened in 9/11 is nothing compared to what could happen if Iran will become nuclear.
Danny, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you.